profession in the movie industry. It really is. Screenwriters are taken for granted, we're walked on, we're replaced at the drop of a dime. If an actor is hated by a director and they're working together on a movie, guess what? They're going to stay the whole movie because they're an actor. If the director is hated by the studio, they're almost never replaced. But if you do a bad job as a screenwriter, and keep in mind I say bad because we're going to talk a lot about subjectivity and objectivity right now. If you do a bad job, you're gone and someone else is in your shoes. And trust me, that is not fun. It's like watching someone else date your girlfriend. Watching someone else go in on your script. It's rough. We're disposable. We're the truest creative part of the process. The engines, the generators. And we are completely disposable to Hollywood at large. Completely. You know how you'll sometimes see on a movie like Transformers, you'll see written by this guy and this guy. There's a chance that wasn't just written by this guy and this guy. It was written by this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And some of the guys who aren't credited made more money than the ones who are. Case in point, I got rewritten recently on the script. I'm not going to say which one. They didn't end up using the rewrite. But for that rewrite, a guy was paid $1.5 million to change my work. That's a great deal more than I made selling the script. And guess what? They didn't use his rewrite. They went back to my original. But they're not getting that money back because the mindset is, well, we tried. Screenwriting's all experimentation. It's creativity. It's painting with your fingers, you know? We tried that. So it was worth the money. Imagine if someone was paid $1.5 million to paint a house, okay? And then the next day they hired a crew to come back in and paint it the original color. Wouldn't the person who hired them feel foolish? Not in Hollywood, man. It's a completely different world out there. Money is a liquid thing. So Queer had an idea for a movie. You know what's fascinating to me? Actually really interesting? Because I'm not reading off a script. This is just me talking. I have 3 things to say, and then I'm going to open it up to you. And this is not a practiced thing. I've never done this before. Did it once before. I taught a class at the college I went to about a month ago. But other than that, this is totally new ground for me. The idea of, before we continue, the idea of teaching, the idea of a master class on screenwriting, to me is laughable. Because screenwriting is an art. It's a craft, but it's also an art. In a much more direct way. There's paper involved, and computers. Acting is an art and a craft. A master class on acting, they can teach you how not to laugh when reading dialogue. I still can't. That's why I'll never be an actor. Whenever I read something, I laugh out loud. They can teach you what the light is. They can teach you how to control your blinking. They can teach you tricks. But writing, that's like teaching someone how to draw, man. You can teach people style, but I can't give you what I do because what I do is personal. And it's not because I don't want to. If I could go bam! All of you have written, I've now written 68 scripts by the time I'm 26. If I could give that to you guys, and then we both have it, if there was, 68 features. Not all of them are sold, only 11 of them are sold. Which is still way more than you want to work on at once. But if I could give you that, I would. But I can't, because it's personal. Jesus Christ, the world is ending. This is wonderful. I feel like Night on Bald Mountain. You guys seen Fantasia? Like that. No, it's good stuff. If I could give you that, I would, but I can't, because being good at screenwriting is like being good at kissing. There's no such thing as a good kisser. There's such thing as a bad kisser, but ultimately it's always who you're kissing. And with scripts, it's all who's reading it. It's who's viewing the art. Case in point, Chronicle. It's a movie I wrote. It's my first movie. Very exciting. It's not the first thing I've had on TV. I've had a couple of things produced. You guys don't know about them. Lucky you. Chronicle's the first thing that I'm palpably proud of. It's really my baby. In Chronicle, who has seen Chronicle? 3 people. Okay, yeah. I don't care. It was the #1 movie in the world for 2 weeks. Okay. In Chronicle, there's a scene. Maybe you remember it if you've seen the movie. Raise your hands if you've seen the movie. Woo! Remember the scene where Andrew's real sad? Big spoilers for Chronicle coming. Big spoilers. Close your ears if you don't want the spoilers. This is the biggest spoiler in the movie. Andrew's real sad, and he goes up to the lightning storm. You know what? Take your hands off yours. I'm not gonna say what it is, and don't say what it is, people who know. But you remember what happens in that lightning storm? There are people I've met and talked to who think Andrew did that. And that's not true. When I wrote it, Andrew definitely didn't do that. He doesn't have the ability to do that. He's Professor Xavier, he's not Storm. And yet, I can't argue with him because it's not mine anymore. When you hang your art in a gallery, when your movie goes into a theater, it suddenly is the property of everyone viewing it, right? The ideas they have about it, the theories they have about it, the weird gay fan fiction they write about it. There's a lot of it for Chronicle. Those three guys get quite a working over. There's so much of it. But, you know, that there's an indelibility to the subjectivity of art. So again, teaching you guys to be good at something is impossible. What I have the big question about is I said, how many of you consider yourself writers? A couple of people. How many of you want to be screenwriters? A different couple of people. How many of you have had an idea for a movie? A third group of people. How many of you consider yourself writers, want to be screenwriters, and have had an idea for a movie? Please just stand. Don't even raise your hand. I want to know why all of you aren't all three if you're here. If you are a screenwriter, you are a writer. To be a screenwriter, you need to have ideas for movies. I can't teach you to have ideas. You just come to see me because you like Death and Return of Superman?
Yeah. Yes.
Spoiler alert, so do I. It's an interesting place in my career because I've done something interesting. And I did it very intentionally. And now I'm standing on the precipice of it. And I'm talking to all you guys. And I'm in Dubai, which is... The screenwriters, like I said, are the beaten dog of the film industry. They're the forgotten piece in the puzzle. The Shining is a great movie, right? Who wrote The Shining?
Cookie Head.
Who wrote it? Stephen King wrote the book.
The book.
Who wrote the script?
No, the
Kubrick
director.
wrote it?
No.
You know, does everyone know who, this is a fun one, does everyone know who directed Empire Strikes Back?
Not. What?
You're
Not
going to say
George
George Lucas.
No,
Don't
it
say
wasn't.
George Lucas. I just wanted, Irvin Kershner directed Empire Strikes Back. That's why it's the good one. It's funny because screenwriters are forgotten about. I'm personally sick of that. If I'm sitting in a backyard with my friend Josh, and I have the idea for a movie, and then I write that movie, and I take time out of myself, and I take energy out of myself, and I make something from nothing. Because keep in mind, screenwriters are the only piece of the film industry that makes something from nothing. And I know that sounds cocky, I know that sounds arrogant, but I want you to think about it. You make something, you have an idea, and you make it into a movie. Now you don't do any of the making, but they need you. But they need you the same way a redneck guy needs his beaten wife. They need you to do what they say, which is rough. You know, I had a very easy ride of it. I had a very easy ride of it. Like, I'm sure, since none of you guys even really want to be screenwriters, which is a bizarre thing. It's like, hey, teach a masterclass on screenwriting to a bunch of people who don't give a shit like you do. What? I mean, it's like, it's a funny place for me to be in, just personally right now. Am I being interesting or am I being boring? I'm just talking.
Interesting. No. Very, very interesting.
It's a funny place to be in for me right now because I came into this thinking you'd all be aspiring screenwriters. And 3 of you are, which means that you're here on the assumption that I myself am worth watching. It's scary. Can I tell you what's scarier? That I'm in Dubai and people I've never met before are coming up to me and going, I love Death and Return of Superman. It's like, why do you've seen that? I mean, like, I was aware it had a lot of views, but I don't know. That's why I'm scared to make another one. I don't want to, shit on my breakfast. I don't want to make Alien 3.
Remake Nightfall.
Remake Nightfall?
Yeah, remake your Nightfall one.
Who here has seen Death and Return? Raise your hand. Again, there are people here who do not want to be writers, haven't seen Death and Return, haven't seen Chronicle. What do you like my tie? I don't know who are you? Like people have to raise their hand, it's like, I hope someone's filming this. No one is, of course. Everything I do just falls into a void. So what do? Do I try to teach you about story? Do I try to teach you about screenwriting? And I shouldn't say teach, because story comes from inside. Screenwriting is something you learn from the program Final Draft. So what do you teach a group of people? What do you tell a group of people?
Your experience?
What?
Your experience?
My experience? Structure? At the beginning, the hero is missing something. Then throughout his journey, he finds what he was missing. You want to know the sad thing about 3-act structure? Like the really sad thing? Who here knows what 3-act structure is? Hands up if you know what 3-act structure is. There's no way. Okay, guess what? Even the people who didn't just raise their hands know what 3-act structure is. Beginning, a middle, an end. Who here is familiar with these terms? There are still some hands that aren't. Beginning, middle, end? What is this? This must be American. Dubai movies just start and then continue. You go to the theater once a week to see if anything's happened. No, What's funny about 3-act structure, I can't even talk to you about screenwriting things. They gave me an apple. I just noticed this. There's an apple on it. And an iPod. I can tell you a little bit about being a screenwriter, but I think that'd be a waste of time, because why would you want to hear about that? That's my boring job. Who here has the most interesting job? Who here loves their job and thinks it's awesome?
Boo, the dog.
You're a teacher. What do you do? You're a production coordinator. Don't have to interact much with a screenwriter, do you?
Well, kind of.
In Dubai, you see, that's the other thing. That was the other thing I really wasn't ready for. Like, I loved it. Do you guys know how I ended up here?
Huh?
It's kind of a great story. This guy, Chaco, says to me on Facebook, "Hey, do you want to go to the Dubai Comic Con?" And I'm like, I am sitting in my condo in Koreatown in LA, and the girl I was dating at the time was like, "We could go to Dubai!" And I was like, "I am dumping you in 3 days." I didn't say it, but I thought it. And I said, "Are you?" And part of me, I said, "Are you fucking kidding?" I was like, "What are you talking about? Dubai has a Comic Con?" Because in my head, in the American, does everybody here know who's American here? Okay, so are you familiar with what Americans think? Are you familiar with what Americans think of Dubai?
Yes.
It's like Oz. It's like Narnia. It's like Tatooine and Coruscant is the same place. It's like this impossible, beautiful, perfect city in the middle of the desert where, if you're gay, they cut off your head. Or if you say the F word in public, or dance, or hug your girlfriend, you'll be killed. And then I come here and it's Vegas. It's just a bigger Vegas. And it's like, it's just like, oh wow, this is a really big mall. Why am I in a mall? I mean, it's insane. But what's crazy about it is that I went, who would possibly want me to come to Dubai? What could I teach people there? What could I do?